Welcome back with another part of the series where we are solving ICSE 2015 English Language Paper 1, specifically the grammar component. Okay, so we have seen so far 2020, 19, okay, and 18, 17, 16, and now here we have 2015. So let's get started. Here in the passage, as we know, it is all about tenses. So every time they will give you one example, and taking cue from that example, we have to think that whether the sentence would be entirely present or past tense, or there will be a mix. So let's see how it starts. It's a very scoring component, that is a grammar component in ICSE language paper. So let's get started. One morning, I saw, so this is already given to us. One morning, I saw the python curled up on the dressing table. So saw means it will be in past tense. It was, there is another indication that it is in past tense, that it was. It was gazing at its own reflection in the mirror. I went for grandfather, but by the time we returned to the room, the python had moved on. He was seen in the garden, and once the cook saw him crawling up the ladder to the roof. Then we found him on the dressing table again, admiring himself in the mirror. He is trying to look better for Aunt Mabel, I said. I regretted this remark immediately because grandmother overheard and held up my pocket money for the rest of the week. It's a little, what you can say, sweet, hilarious passage. But as you can see, how we have used participles, how we have used past perfect tense, how we have used simple past, that is what is going to bring you marks, so that identify right that where it should be put. The next component that we have, that is the phrasal verbs or preposition, what we say. So let's see the first one. He found the key just at or near, outside or by, behind, beside the front door. Okay, so that way you can write. I could not accompany my cousin on the trip because I had fever on the trip. The noise prevented us from sleeping, something we use for prevent from. The young man put the flute to his lips, began to play. Now this is a little tricky one. Fourth, some might think that it would be the young man put the flute on his lips, in his lips. So no, it should be put the flute to his lips, is to as a direction of his lips basically, and began to play. Ashok leaned against the wall tiredly. It's a very common phrasal verb or preposition that keeps on coming for ICSE. Leaned against the wall. The paper dart went gliding through the air, something which is in motion and from one end to the other, so gliding through the air. The cyclist rode quickly dash the path. Now for this there are lot many possibilities. It could be on the path, along the path, across the path, or down the path. The young child carried heavy bucket up or down the stairs. Anyone you can write, because it is not very clear whether it is going upstairs or it is coming downstairs. Let's see the third component, where it is a 4 marks and 1 mark each. And let's see, you have to combine the sentence, you have to join. Okay, these are all part of synthesis. Okay, he has learned to cycle, he has learned to swim. Okay, so there is a contrast, we can see the one thing he has learned, but the other thing is still remaining to be learned. So although he has learned to cycle, comma, he has still not learned to swim. Though he has learned to cycle, you can also use cycling. Though he has learned cycling, still he has not learned to swim, or still he has not learned swimming. You can also use in spite of having, because in spite of, after that we take participles. So in spite of having learned cycling, he has still not learned swimming. And despite having learned cycling, he has not learned swimming. Despite and still They do not go together. This we have to remember. With the other, we can write still. Let's see the second. The child helped her mother to make breakfast. She washed the tomatoes. Now there's a one person who is doing both the work. One is helping her mother and also wash tomatoes. So here we can use participle, and let's see how we can use. So one way you can use having helped her mother, having helped, having helped her mother to make breakfast, comma the child wash the tomatoes. You can also write like this: helping her mother to make a breakfast, the child washed the tomatoes, using participle. Or there are other ways also. The child washed the tomatoes in order to help her mother making the breakfast. Okay, making breakfast. The child helped her mother to make breakfast by washing tomatoes. That is also fine. By washing the tomatoes. So we have to be very careful that where it is written, like in front of tomatoes, it is written the, but in front of breakfast, it is not. So we are going to have to maintain that in the changed sentence also. Okay, so let's go to the third. They bought a new car. They can travel long distances. So it's a cause and effect sort of thing. So they bought a new car to travel long distances. Since they bought a new car, they can travel long distances. As they bought a new car, they can travel to long distances. They can travel long distances, that is also fine. They can travel long distances because they bought a new car. So cause and effect, as, since, because you can use. Last one of this component, Sunita opened her purse. She found the money missing. Okay, she found the money was missing. The money missing. So Sunita opened her purse to find the money missing. So okay, that's one. As soon as and all these things, do not use over there. Save it for the next components, that is D part over there. So it is strictly said that in the synthesis we are only going to join using either adjective clause or adverb clause or noun clause or subordinate clause like this. Those are part of subordinate clause. Like this we can join. Sunita opened her purse to find the money missing. Second option is, when Sunita opened her purse, she found the money missing. Now you have to remember, we cannot change the meaning. So when Sunita opened her purse, she found the missing money. Then the meaning totally changed. So we cannot write that she found the missing money. That means she found it. But in our original sentence, it is a she found that the money was missing. We have to stick to this original meaning. On opening her purse, Sunita found her money missing. Again, participle we can use. Having opened her purse, Sunita found the money missing. Don't write missing money, then it would make the meaning changed. Let's come to the fourth component and the last component of grammar portion. That is, rewrite the sentences without changing the meaning. So it is a transformation of sentences. There are different varieties that we encounter in this part. Arun gave Ramesh some excellent advice. You have to begin with Ramesh was. So Arun gave, so it is an example of active passive. So Ramesh was given some excellent advice by Arun. Quite an easy one. As soon as Sanya sat down to study, the lights went off no sooner. Again, a typical example that keeps on coming in ICSE exam. No sooner did, it is sat, so it will become did Sanya sit down to study than the lights went off. No sooner always takes than. You can also write like this: no sooner had Sanya sat down to study than the lights went off. Has Alia written to you? Question mark. So here we have to mention, have you been written to by Alia? Have you been written to? Okay, by Alia. Or you can also write like this: have you heard from Alia? That is another way saying. Or have you received a letter from Alia? So here we are inserting those two words, received and letter, which is not mentioned at all in the original sentence. But has Alia written to you? We are assuming it's a letter. But I think first two are quite clear, so that would be better if you have written, have you been written to by Alia? Next one, as soon as the function got over, the crowd dispersed. You have to use hardly. Sometimes they give had, sometimes they don't. But we have to be aware that hardly always takes had. So hardly had the function got over when. Hardly always take when. No sooner takes than. So hardly had the function got over when the crowd dispersed. Fifth, the monsoon is the best season in our country. Rewrite using good. So it is best and good. That means it's an example of a degree of comparison. We have to change. So it's the best season. It is not written is one of the best. No. So it is simply written is the best season. So we are going to use no other season in our country is as good as the monsoon. Sixth, Harish was so tired that he could not keep his eyes open. Harish was two. Again, a typical example that keeps on coming in ICSE language section, transformation section. That is, Harish was too tired to keep his eyes open. Infinitive. Okay, we are using. Father said to Sunil, I can help you with your homework. Father told Sunil, and it's an example of direct and indirect speech. So, father told Sunil that he could help him with his homework. You have to see the change of pronoun, okay, and also the punctuation marks. Last one, Naresh goes to a school which has over 1,000 students. You have to begin there, which is a tricky one because there. So there are over 1,000 students in Naresh's school. That because Naresh goes to a school which has got over 1,000 students. So that is Naresh's school belonging, a possessive that we are using. Or else you can write there are over 1,000 students in the school to which Naresh goes to, or in the school that Naresh goes to. So that's it for 2015. So pour in your suggestions, ask any doubt pertaining to English language. We'll try our best to help you out. Keep watching and keep subscribe this channel. In the next video, we'll be coming up with more solutions of ICSE language paper.